What's going on, everybody? It's Rick from Garden Oak Bar Chucking. Just checking it out. The worm bin's getting ready for its next feeding. Definitely this level is compressing as all these scraps are breaking down and the bedding. But before I get involved with this, I'm going to check under here and move this guy out because I will be harvesting this today. One thing that I'm still seeing a little bit of is that darn red paper. So I'm thinking this is going to come out today. There's some more right here. So, but I'm going to take this over for right now and do it off camera. And then I'll go ahead and I'll bring it back and show you guys how it's looking. Yep, I see more of that red paper right there. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to quick sift this. Any large pieces, like I still have this pumpkin stem. I'm going to move this back up into the feeding area. While I have it here, I'm just going to look through, see if I see any cocoons or anything real quick. Nope, nothing really on it. A few worms were. Still very hard. So I have a mortar tray that's right over here that I'm going to move that over to. Because I'm a glutton for punishment, I will just leave this down here and see kind of what goes on. To me, the color's looking great, kind of dark and rich. This was from the underneath where that basin is from last time. Yeah, a couple of nice worms there. Okay, so now this is going to be the inoculating tray. There's the feeding tray. So I'm just moving this off for a second. I see a seed, possibly like a watermelon seed. Let's see if anything's in this feeding area. Yeah, nothing much. That is what's so cool with feeding that pulp. It does really attract the worms in there, but it goes fairly quick. And then with it being frozen, it allows those juices to drip on those trays down below. I'm going to go ahead and quick give this a fluffing, check the bin, make sure I don't see anything funky or crazy going on, and then we'll get into the feeding. Okay, so one thing is with the paper, it does seem to clump together, so you do have to make sure you do incorporate it with some castings, coffee grounds, coconut coir, peat moss, something to keep it from binding all the way. But this should be pretty good now. I got to get some more bedding. Okay, so kind of have a bunch of things going on. I have the egg containers and the cup containers from like a fast food store. Get some of that in there. Also had some popsicle sticks. So I have no idea if that will even break down or not, but I'll pop it in there and we'll get a chance to look at it in the next few weeks, see how it's looking. Then I got some more of that ultra shred paper. Might as well just drop the last bit in there. Keeping with the normal trend, it's going to be pulp. This here is pineapple. There's all kinds of different stuff. This one looks more like carrot. We've got some green, so some spinach or kale. Okay. So this here is definitely one of the larger feedings that I've done, but I haven't come back and seen any worms still in the feeding area with any food. So we're going to see how this one goes. I'm doubling up on the grit today. I have my azomite, which is pulverized. Ooh. And then I have my ground up eggshell. So, as I said before, the grit is good for the worms. They need it to help break down the food particles in their stomachs. They don't have teeth like us. They have the crop and the gizzard. So this allows them, as they wiggle around, to help digest the food. So what will be very interesting to see on the next check-in, I got a low spot, and a big mound. So it'll be interesting to see in 2 weeks on the next feeding. I have a low spot here, and a big pile here in the middle, if that's still around or if everything's kind of evened itself out. And then I'll do one quick check down at the very bottom here. Okay, oh, there is a little bit of worm activity in castings. What I'm going to do is take this and put this into the feeding area. Okay, that's still moist. A few worms still hanging out down there. I'm really thinking with this feeding to go ahead and move everybody back up to the top, and then on the next one check this, and if a bunch of worms come down, then I'll go ahead and kind of rebed it and let them do their thing. So I'm going to actually put this up in the feeding area too. Okay, had a few worms that were acting difficult, but I was able to get them got. Now why these lower castings look a little darker, that initial lower bin that's now the inoculating tray, that had coffee grounds added in there too. So that helped add a little bit on this lower side, but we still have a nice mound. And I'm going to go ahead, quick sift the castings, and then add just regular cardboard back to the very bottom. Okay, so there was a ton of worms, so I'm going to be using this bait cup to hopefully entice some of them worms out of the castings and into here. I'm not really going to clean this up. I'm just going to add more bedding to it right now. Okay, so here it is all loaded up. Once I get it down to the lower level, I will add some water to this and continue to do that over the next few weeks, just to really moisten this bedding and allow the worms to go down there if they choose. And then with my feeding zone, I forgot to put my pumpkin stem in there. But now that it's back up this way, and then these were some sprigs from rosemary. Now that that's done, I will add a little bit of worm chow for the worms. This is a super fast food. They can actually eat this right now. It doesn't need to break down. While the food scraps, as they break down, get some bacteria, then the worms will be enticed to eat the food scraps. So here's the sifted castings, and then as I was sifting it, because it is moist, these were some bigger chunks. But in terms of vermicompost, I don't care if it's thick like that or nice and thin and real loose. You can go ahead, squeeze it together. It holds its shape, and then just with a little pressure, everything kind of crumbles apart, and that's shows that the moisture is very good with these castings. I still have a few worms kind of hanging out on this tray, or my sifter. So what I'm going to do is get my bait cup installed and then leave this sifter over the castings, so hopefully these worms can work themselves into the castings. So I basically have a line to capture some juices from the food that I added, and then a whole bunch of holes. So I just kind of dig down, make a nice little hole, put that in, and then pack these castings all around. And then I'll just take this and flip it over like that, so then the worms can kind of work themselves down into those castings. Okay, so now I have the fresh new bedding down at the lowest level, and I'm going to add water, not a ton, but just start to get it wet. Okay, so now the lowest level's back. The inoculating tray's in the middle, the feeding tray's on top. And now this tower system is good for at least another 2 weeks for me. If you guys have any questions, don't forget dropping down in the comments. Thanks for coming along, checking out the video. Everybody have a great day.